Well, it is official. Social media is now banned for kids 16 and under all across Australia. Here is the headline this morning. Australia's social media ban for children takes effect. The measure, which affects anyone under 16, is one of the most sweeping efforts in the world to safeguard young people from potential harms of the platforms. Look at all those happy kids in that photo from the New York Times. They're all so happy because you know what? They're not on social media and they're playing with teddy bears. Like that's the message you're being sent here in this New York Times piece. But let me just read it a little bit further. Not that I want to read New York Times, but you know, it's worth seeing how the mainstream media is portraying this. Hundreds of thousands of teenagers in Australia awoke Wednesday to find their social media accounts logged out or deactivated under a new law that bars anyone under 16 from services. The day marked the launch of sweeping governmental effort to shelter children from the potential harms associated with such platforms, putting the country at the vanguard of regulating social media services that parents and educators worry have ensnared a generation of young people. Like all the young people in Australia who are learning the truth about COVID, but their government kept them under lockdown and even separated them and put them into different camps and quarantines. Like maybe people on these platforms might actually learn information. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. At the heart of it. So today we wanted to bring into the show, Maria Z. She's the founder of Z Media, who's been watching this very, very closely. Great to have you on the show for the first time, Maria. Welcome.
Great to see you both. And let me just say it's great to be here. I absolutely have a lot of respect for everything that you do, especially cutting through the left-right nonsense that we are force-fed, because this is actually about much more than left and right. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for saying that, because you know, often when I see these types of stories, right, it requires us to go multiple layers deeper here to see what's really going on. So on the surface, they're selling it to us as we're even the words in the New York Times, they're sheltering our children. They're sheltering our children, protecting them from the evils of social media, which, to be clear, yes, there's a lot of evil on social media. But what's really going on here?
Let's be very, very clear and explicit about what this is. This has absolutely nothing to do with protecting children, especially from a government that thinks it's just fine for them to be mutilating their genitals while they are under 18 years old. So they are not interested in protecting children. What this is really about is digital ID. And they will not admit that, but that is where this is heading. And I can tell you how quickly this developed in Australia. In December of last year, they rammed through this legislation, despite there being a lot of pushback. Australia is not a country, as in the Australian government, is not a government that cares about democracy or what their constituents actually feel or think or say. They will make things up as they go in order to achieve essentially what is Agenda 2030. And so despite the immense pushback, they rammed through this legislation. And just 6 months later, Clayton, they started to admit that, oh, well, yes, maybe we will be using digital ID for this. So as it stands, Australian children, hundreds of thousands of them, we don't know how many, maybe 500,000, maybe 1 million, woke up to not having access to social media overnight. That is true. And we're yet to see how this is actually going to play out, because apparently we're hearing reports that, you know, some of them are giving photos of their older brothers or a Labrador and passing through the age verification checks that way. Now, it's really interesting because a headline has come out just today in Australia, MSM, and let me read you the title and how dystopian this is. They know. Major warning to teens looking to circumvent Australia's historic social media ban as under 16s booted from platforms. So they're warning children now, don't you dare, because the government's watching and they know if you're trying to circumvent this. But most importantly, Clayton, is how do you prove that you're not under 16? Well, that means that every adult will have to prove their age and link their identity and their verification to their online activity, thus, in effect, creating a digital ID system and eventually a social credit system. This is where this is heading, I can promise you.
Yeah, no, that's very, very smart, because it's not about the kids. It's about the adults. It's about getting everyone to sign in and authenticate information on the internet. So now you're signed in using your digital ID, which is all about tracking. They know exactly where you are, exactly where you've been, exactly where you're going. And this is all part of this Big Brother surveillance network that's being unrolled out. This is just a test bed in Australia right? I mean, we're going to start to see this. We're already starting to see it, of course, in Europe. We're going to start to see it more prominently in the United States. Make no mistake about it, right?
I hate to break everyone's heart, but it's already passed in Texas. As of the 1st of January, 2026, every single adult in Texas, per Bill SB 2420, will have to do submit to age verification to use basic services like Apple or Google. In Australia, they said that eventually they admitted that adults would have to even verify their age to conduct a basic Google search. And of course, this wasn't immediately told to the Australian people once it was introduced as an under 16s social media age ban. It was later revealed to them. So this is how this goes, Clayton. It is happening in lockstep across multiple countries. I can rattle off a few bills right now in America. They're actually being discussed on Thursday. We have HR 6289, which includes age verification. It's a Promoting a Safe Internet for Minors Act. So that will require age verification. Let me just say, they will never say digital ID initially, because that terrifies everyone. So they're saying age verification. And how do they do that? Well, they say, well, it can be a number of factors. If you would like to give us your government ID, you can. Otherwise, we can use things like age estimation. We'll collect your biometrics. We'll use facial recognition, like Roblox is now proposing, for example. And we will use all these other methods to estimate your age and assure the government that we have done that through our third parties that just so often happen to be linked to Palantir. There's also HR 6437, the Kids Internet Safety Partnership Act, which requires age verification. Mike Lee, and I don't know what he's thinking, and I certainly don't know his intent, but he is introducing something at the federal level called the App Store Accountability Act, and that is, it openly says it on his website, lee.senate.gov, that it will require app stores to utilize, quote, privacy protecting age verification methods. Eventually, Clayton, this does become digital ID. They may initially, and to be honest with you, I think in Australia, they've designed it in a way that they want it to fail. For example, people using a photo of their Labrador and getting through, right? They're saying, well, all these kids are still circumventing the guardrails that we've put in place. Now we have to go with something like digital ID because it's just not working. And those are the steps that they take. And they always do it under the guise of protecting children, because who in their right mind would object to protecting children from harm? You would sound like a horrible person. But it's important for Americans to understand this is being raced through. There's 18 bills tomorrow being discussed around child safety online. Many of them require age verification. It's coming like a freight train.
People are aging faster than ever before. This is due to more toxins in the air, chemicals in our soil and food, and other external factors that, of course, are really new to us. What most people don't understand is we can actually fight this at the cellular level. Take a look at this new anti-aging study out, which shows that anti-aging effects and mechanisms of kimchi during fermentation under stress-induced premature sensine cellular system. Scientists discovered now that kimchi actually slows the aging process of human cells, helping to protect them and delay against aging at the cellular level. The power of nature can outweigh the power of pharmaceuticals without nasty side effects. And now you can get all the benefits of getting all those microplastics out of your body, because your body, you eat like a whole credit card's worth of microplastics on a regular basis. It's crazy. Now you can get all of it. The benefits of kimchi in one simple capsule with Kimchi 1. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, plus antioxidants and enzymes that support your digestion. So you get 25% off with that code Redacted. If you go to mybrightcore.com/redacted, you'll get 25% off. But the best thing is if you give them a call and get on the phone with them. They're an American company, and they'll give you 50% off plus free shipping. If you call them, 888-404-6312, up to 50% off and free shipping. Best of all, Kimchi 1 is 100% made in the United States, all natural, non-GMO. Support your gut, protect your cells, feel younger every day. mybrightcore.com/redacted. Get 25% off with that code Redacted, or call them 1-888-404-6312 to get 50% off and free shipping. Someone in our chat room, David Jackson says she smells a rat. Yes, exactly. You've hit the nail on the head. But maybe you can talk about the mechanics of this digital ID, because a lot of times we throw around these buzzwords, digital ID, all of those things. And I think that maybe goes over a lot of people's heads because they don't understand the mechanics of the sort of data collection of all of these things. So maybe you can walk us through how the nefarious side of this, like once we're using a digital ID for all of this, how can they track us? How can they, provide some sort of social credit score, prevent us from doing certain things? Maybe you can walk through why this is so nefarious.
Absolutely. A digital ID, when people think about it, they think of a digital version of your driver's license, right? Like it's a card that exists in the cloud somewhere, but that's not necessarily what digital ID is. It is a number of different factors that form your digital twin, if you will, online, that the goal is to have managed by one central power, one central Silicon Valley power, for example, though they're not quite there yet. And there are many, many different factors that lead to the point of a digital ID in society. For example, the mobile driver's licenses, Real ID in the US. By the way, the TSA is going to be penalizing Americans from next year, from February, if they don't use a Real ID, which they were originally told wasn't mandatory. So bit by bit, they impose these things on you to get you used to having your activities linked with your identity digitized. And over time, it forms this digital profile of you and your interaction with online platforms, including your speech on those platforms, what you look at, what you click on, what you say, and develops this digital twin of you that later on can be weaponized against you. And I can tell you right now, I'm releasing a report this Friday about what the WHO and Bill Gates are planning in relation to digital ID. They are wanting to track children from the time that they are born and send out little notifications if they're not up to date on their injections, making sure that the unreached are always injected. This is part of the plan when it comes to digital ID. And the key word that they keep using is interoperability. So while some states might say, right, well, we're going to have a digital ID here in, I don't know, Texas. I'm in Texas. Let's just say Texas. We're going to have a digital ID in Texas here, and it's not going to be at a federal level. But what the back end might have is interoperability, meaning that, okay, even though it's not a federal digital ID, it can be recognized in Utah or Minnesota or Canada or Europe. And this is their whole goal. It is a worldwide dossier, digital dossier that is available on you worldwide so that no matter where you go, every single government or big tech company that is part of the technocracy that is looming will know what your views are. The WHO admits that they're going to collect information about your race, your ethnicity, your religion, your injection status. It's all going to form part of this digital dossier that will be used against you. And I'll just say one more thing, that in the plans of the United Nations, the written plans of a group called the AI World Society, they openly admit that once a digital currency that's controlled by them is rolled out, it will be doled out, like through a universal basic income, for example, based on people's compliance with the system. They say you won't be punished, but you just won't receive your universal basic income digital currency if you don't behave in a way that is congruent with our agenda. These are published documents that I've been reporting on for years now. It is extremely dystopian. Again, Australia is not the only country that is doing this. I'll just rattle off a very quick list to you. You have Denmark, France, Malaysia, UK, Germany, Spain, the European Union, obviously, Greece, Brazil, and of course the US are all working on what is going to form digital ID, the ultimate control system. And once a digital ID is in place, it is impossible for you to stand against any agendas. The conversation you were just having with your prior guest, Natali, you wouldn't be allowed to have it with a digital ID because all of a sudden it's linked to your banking, your ability to pay your bills, your ability to travel. Everything is linked digitally, managed by Sauron at Palantir.
Sauron, that's a good way to put it. Exactly. I'll get you out of here on this, Maria, which is, what are the kids saying? I mean, in Australia, 16 and under, I mean, not that they're like an organized group that are out there taken to the streets, 12-year-olds and so forth. You took away Snapchat or whatever. But what does the backlash in Australia look like?
Yeah, it's important to focus on the impact on children. And of course, social media is bad for them. It's bad for me, for goodness sake. Right. But it's not up to the government to be their parent. And just one quick tidbit, Clayton, it's reported that now this creepy video from the Prime Minister is playing across schools in Australia in a very Maoist fashion, reminding them, and I'm translating his words, my interpretation is, don't worry, children, the government is now your father, because your parents aren't capable of managing you, so we will now have to. And children, of course, they feel lost. A lot of their support networks are online. There are a lot of kids who are struggling through this ever-changing world, and they depend on the internet to learn, to become functioning members of society that are expected to use the internet. So it's impacting them horribly. And there is, I will say one other thing, there is a high court challenge where 2 children are actually involved in that, because they've said that the impact on them is drastic and very damaging. And so that's set to go ahead next year, I believe. We'll see where that heads, but we can't forget the negative impacts on the children of just shutting them off. And ultimately, Clayton, the decision is on the parents. When we have the government stepping in and saying this is harmful to children, so we're gonna circumvent the will of the parents and make it illegal, that is just terrifying. We can't allow this.
No, absolutely, 100%. Like, the parents need to be involved in these conversations like we are with our own kids. Maria, great to see you. Great to have you here on the show. We hope you come back. Thank you so much. Very, very smart.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.